The dim light of the restaurant flickered faintly, casting wavering shadows across the room as I sat in silence, sipping my whiskey neat. My gaze remained locked on the corner booth, where a couple sat seemingly lost in their own world. My wife, Emma, looked stunning as always. Her laughter rang out like a wind chime, light and melodious. Under any other circumstances, it might have been a beautiful sight. But not tonight. Because the man sitting across from her wasn't me. His hand disappeared beneath the table, and I watched with quiet fury as Emma leaned in closer, a soft giggle escaping her lips as his fingers stroked her thigh. My grip tightened around the glass, the ice clinking softly as it swirled. A knot of pain and rage twisted in my chest, but I didn't react. I couldn't. Not yet. I had suspected something for weeks. The sudden late-night meetings, the way she clutched her phone like it contained state secrets, the faint scent of unfamiliar cologne that lingered on her clothes. Tonight, I had my confirmation. And I had a plan. For months, I had been preparing for this moment, carefully, deliberately. Confrontation was never the goal. Shouting, arguing, it would change nothing. Emma's betrayal cut deep. And the man she was with, Martin, had shattered the sanctity of my marriage. But this wasn't about vengeance fueled by rage. This was about justice, cold, calculated, and methodical. I'd hired a private investigator weeks ago. What he uncovered was devastating but necessary. Photos, text messages, call logs, times, places, everything neatly organized in a thick folder. It wasn't meant for court. This was personal. I didn't want to ruin her life. I just wanted her to understand the weight of what she'd done. Step 1. Exposure. I started with Martin. A little digging on social media revealed he was married to a woman named Claire. Her posts painted a picture of a happy home. 2 kids, weekend getaways, warm smiles frozen in filtered photos. She didn't deserve this betrayal. Not in silence. I arranged an anonymous meeting at a quiet coffee shop and arrived early, file in hand. Claire showed up a few minutes later, her expression wary and nervous. I hated being the one to do this, but she had to know the truth. Without a word, I slid the folder across the table. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Her eyes scanned the pages slowly, disbelief turning to heartbreak. Tears welled up and silently spilled onto her cheeks. I offered her a tissue. She accepted it without a word. When she finally looked up, her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried strength. "Thank you for telling me," she said. "I need time to process this, but I appreciate your honesty." We exchanged numbers and agreed to stay in touch. Claire had her own plans for Martin, and together, we made sure he wouldn't escape unscathed. Step 2. Confrontation. That evening, I staged what looked like a romantic surprise. I cooked Emma's favorite meal, set the table with fine china and flickering candles, and placed a bouquet of her favorite lilies in the center. She walked in, her face lighting up at the scene. "What's the occasion?" she asked with a warm smile, leaning in to kiss my cheek. "I just wanted to spoil my beautiful wife," I said, matching her smile with one of my own. Carefully practiced. Dinner began like any other. We talked about mundane things, work gossip, the neighbors, plans for the upcoming holidays. I let it play out until dessert. That's when I made my move. "Emma," I said, my tone calm but unshakably firm. "I've been thinking a lot about us lately." Her smile faded slightly. "Oh, what about us?" Without another word, I reached under my chair, pulled out the folder, and set it on the table between us. "I think you should see this." She looked confused, then pale. As she opened the file and flipped through the contents, the color drained from her face. Her hands trembled as she flipped from one damning photo to the next, reading texts she thought were hidden. I can explain," she choked out, eyes welling up with tears. "There's no need," I replied evenly. "I know everything. I've known for weeks. This dinner isn't about explanations or apologies. It's about consequences." She stared at me, panic rising. "Please let me fix this. I messed up. It was a mistake, a horrible mistake." "Mistakes are accidents," I said coldly. "What you did was intentional and repeated." That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And I can't forgive that. Step 3. Resolution. I had already consulted a divorce lawyer. The papers were ready. I pulled them out and placed them in front of her next. Sign these, I said. I'm not asking for anything. You can keep the house, the car, everything. I just want out with my dignity. Her tears flowed freely now, falling onto the papers she'd once joked we'd never need. But I didn't waver. She made her decision. Now I made mine. As she signed each page, a strange sensation washed over me. Not grief, not even anger. Relief. The crushing weight of her betrayal was beginning to lift. I could finally breathe again. Step 4. Accountability. Claire and I decided to confront Martin together. We arranged to meet him at his office, where he couldn't slip away or hide behind excuses. When he saw us both walk in, the color drained from his face, turning an almost comical shade of red. "What is this?" he stammered, clearly shaken. "This," Claire said with icy resolve, "is your reckoning. We know everything, and you're going to answer for it." I handed him a copy of the folder. He glanced through it, and with each passing second, the arrogance drained from his face. He tried to speak, apologies, rationalizations, desperate attempts to salvage his image, but neither of us cared to hear them. Claire had already filed for divorce, and Martin's polished, respectable career, built on lies and a fake image of integrity, was about to take a serious hit. His company, his colleagues, they would all know the truth. As Claire and I walked away, I felt a sense of closure. Emma and Martin had made their choices, and now they were living with the fallout. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about freedom. Epilogue, rebuilding. The months that followed were a blur of change and healing. I buried myself in work, reconnected with old friends I had drifted from, and slowly began dating again. It wasn't easy. The scars of betrayal didn't fade overnight, but they became part of me. Not as wounds, but as reminders. Reminders of what I'd survived, of how strong I had become. One evening, I sat alone in my new apartment, sipping whiskey as the city lights twinkled in the distance. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt it. Peace.